Tuna's hands still trembled slightly when she lifted the warm teacup. She sat wrapped in a light blanket on the wooden porch while Henry played beside the garden with a tiny seed basket hanging from his arm. Across the yard, Alex pushed a shovel into the soil near the side fence. But he was not planting yet. He was removing things. Old bamboo supports, tall, overgrown plants, a broken storage shelf near the fence corner, anything that blocked visibility around the house. Hello, everyone? We hope you are having a peaceful day. But in today's story, Alex realizes something important while rebuilding the garden. A home should not only feel peaceful, it should also help the family see clearly, move safely, and protect the people inside it. Tuna watched Alex wipe sweat from his forehead before looking toward the side gate again. That was the part she could not stop noticing. Because Alex was not only rebuilding the garden, he was quietly studying the blind spots around their home. The wooden house felt calmer now that Tuna had returned from the hospital, but calm was not the same as recovery. She still became tired quickly. Even walking from the porch to the kitchen sometimes forced her to stop and rest her hand against the wall for a moment. Henry stayed unusually close to her that morning. Every few minutes, he looked up from the dirt path to check whether she was still sitting comfortably under the blanket. "Mom, cold?" he asked softly. Tuna smiled gently. "A little." Henry immediately carried his tiny basket toward her. "You hold seeds. Seeds warm." Tuna laughed quietly for the first time in days. But Alex noticed something else. Even while smiling, Tuna kept trying to stand whenever he carried heavy tools alone. That worried him more than the weak laughter. Because some people recover physically long before they stop feeling guilty for resting. Mrs. Puang arrived carrying washed vegetables wrapped inside a cloth basket. She stopped beside Alex near the garden beds. "You already started rebuilding?" Alex nodded. "The old layout makes her walk too much." The previous garden stretched too far from the kitchen. The watering lines crossed uneven ground. Tall plants near the side fence blocked visibility from the porch, and the narrow walking path became slippery whenever water spilled from the hose. Small problems. Ordinary problems, but ordinary problems slowly exhaust tired people. Alex placed wooden markers into the soil, shorter beds, wider paths, lower plant height near the fence, vegetables closer to the kitchen, everything easier to reach, everything easier to see. And that was when Tuna realized this garden was changing for reasons deeper than comfort. By afternoon, the yard looked completely different. The old tangled corner near the side fence had disappeared. Sunlight reached places that had stayed dark for months. Henry followed Alex everywhere, carrying tiny packets of seeds as if he were helping build something enormous. "What this one?" Henry asked while holding up a packet. "Morning spinach," Alex answered. "Grow fast?" "Very fast." Henry looked impressed. Then he whispered seriously, "Mom need fast vegetables." Alex smiled faintly, but his eyes softened immediately. Because Henry understood more than adults sometimes expected. Tuna watched from the porch while folding small kitchen towels slowly on her lap. At first, she thought Alex was simply making the garden easier to manage while she recovered. But then she noticed something unusual again. Every few minutes, Alex stopped working and looked toward the side fence, toward the bamboo gate, toward the angle near the storage corner beside the house, measuring sightlines, measuring hidden spaces. That detail quietly changed the meaning of the entire afternoon. Mrs. Puang noticed it too. "You're thinking about safety," she said quietly. Alex pushed the shovel into the ground before answering. "The fence is too easy to hide beside." He pointed toward the side area. When Tuna waters vegetables from the old path, she cannot clearly see Henry near the gate. Mrs. Puang stayed silent for a moment. because she remembered the recent tension around the copied packaging issue and strangers asking too many questions about the family's routines. Nothing directly dangerous had happened, but unease had already entered the home quietly. And once that happens, ordinary spaces start looking different. The garden was no longer only about food. It was becoming part of how the family protected daily life itself. Late in the afternoon, Tu Na finally tried to stand without asking for help. She held the porch rail carefully and stepped down toward the garden path. Henry looked excited immediately. "Mom, helping!" Alex turned quickly at the sound of Henry's voice. For 1 second, Tu Na smiled, as if everything was normal again. Then her knees weakened. Not dramatically, just enough. Enough for her hand to grip the porch post suddenly. Enough for Alex to drop the shovel immediately and reach her before she fell. The yard became quiet. Even Henry stopped moving. Alex steadied her gently with one arm. He did not scold her. He did not panic. He only looked at her carefully before placing the small seed basket beside Henry. Then he spoke softly. This garden is not asking you to prove anything. His voice stayed calm. It is here so you can heal. Tu Na lowered her eyes quickly, because no one had said those words to her that clearly before. And for the first time since returning home, she allowed herself to sit back down without apologizing. Late in the afternoon, Tu Na finally tried to stand without asking for help. She held the porch rail carefully and stepped down toward the garden path. Henry looked excited immediately. "Mom, helping!" Alex turned quickly at the sound of Henry's voice. For 1 second, Tu Na smiled, as if everything was normal again. Then her knees weakened. Not dramatically, just enough. Enough for her hand to grip the porch post suddenly. Enough for Alex to drop the shovel immediately and reach her before she fell. The yard became quiet. Even Henry stopped moving. Alex steadied her gently with one arm. He did not scold her. He did not panic. He only looked at her carefully before placing the small seed basket beside Henry. Then he spoke softly. "This garden is not asking you to prove anything." His voice stayed calm. "It is here so you can heal." Tu Na lowered her eyes quickly, because no one had said those words to her that clearly before. And for the first time since returning home, she allowed herself to sit back down without apologizing. As sunset approached, the garden finally began looking organized again. The shorter vegetable beds created clean rows across the yard. Water hoses no longer crossed the walking paths dangerously. The kitchen door opened directly toward the nearest greens instead of toward tangled storage clutter. Mrs. Puong stood beside Tu Na, holding a basket of washed herbs. "Your house breathes differently now," she said softly. Tu Na looked across the yard. Alex was hammering the last wooden border into place, while Henry handed him nails one at a time with complete seriousness. And suddenly, Tu Na understood something painful. For a long time, she had accepted exhaustion as normal. Long walks carrying water, watching Henry while bending over uneven paths, cooking while mentally tracking every corner of the house, trying to notice danger, mess, chores, meals, tools, schedules, and emotions all at once. The garden had not only been inconvenient, it had quietly demanded too much invisible energy every day. And Alex finally saw it. Not because someone lectured him, not because of one dramatic argument, but because illness forced the hidden pressure into the open. As darkness slowly touched the yard, Henry carried a tiny spinach seed toward Tu Na. "Mom, plant one?" Tu Na hesitated. Her fingers still looked weak. Alex noticed immediately. Without speaking, he brought a small pot closer to the porch instead of asking her to walk to the garden bed. Henry smiled proudly. Tu Na pressed one tiny seed gently into the soil. Such a small action, But somehow the whole family became quieter watching it, because that little seed meant something larger now. Not work, not productivity, recovery, presence, a slower rhythm the house had needed long before the hospital. That evening, after Henry fell asleep beside Batang inside the wooden house, Alex stayed outside near the fence with a flashlight. The night insects hummed softly near the garden edge. Alex crouched near the side boundary where thick plants used to block visibility completely. From there, he could clearly see the weakness now. Anyone standing near the fence before would have stayed hidden easily. The realization unsettled him more than expected. Many families focus only on making a home beautiful, but beauty without visibility can quietly create risk, especially around children, especially when routines become predictable, especially when tired people stop noticing weak points because they see them every day. Alex walked slowly through the redesigned paths again, shorter movement lines, clear sight from porch to gate, lower plant height near fences, no stacked clutter beside walls. Simple changes, affordable changes, but practical safety often begins exactly that way, not through fear, through awareness. Back inside, Tu Na was half asleep beneath the light blanket while Mrs. Puong adjusted the porch light near the kitchen steps. The softer layout around the house already made movement feel calmer, less tiring, less chaotic, less emotionally heavy. And that hidden emotional relief mattered more than Alex expected, because sometimes a home exhausts people quietly long before anyone notices why. Alex pushed his shovel near the fence line to clear one final section of hard soil. Then the metal edge struck something solid beneath the dirt. The sound stopped him immediately. Not rock, metal. Alex knelt slowly and brushed away the soil with his hand. An old metal boundary marker appeared beneath the earth near the side fence. Rust covered most of it, but the shape was still recognizable. Mrs. Puong looked up from the porch. Tu Na slowly lowered her teacup, and Alex stayed silent for several seconds while staring at the buried marker half hidden beneath the soil, because suddenly the garden no longer felt connected only to recovery. It felt connected to something older, something the land itself had been quietly holding for years. Henry ran closer curiously. "What Dad find?" Alex looked toward the fence line before answering softly. The next morning, sunlight reached deeper into the garden than before. Henry ran carefully along the widened path, carrying his empty seed basket like important equipment. Tu Na sat on the porch without forcing herself to stand every few minutes. For once, resting no longer felt like failure inside the house. The redesigned garden had changed more than vegetables. The family moved differently now, more clearly, more gently, more safely. "I'm not sure yet." Morning light moved slowly across the newly rebuilt garden while the family stood together in unexpected silence. And for the first time since Tu Na returned home, the yard no longer felt like a place carrying hidden exhaustion. It felt like a place beginning to reveal hidden truths instead. Sometimes healing does not begin with medicine alone. Sometimes it begins when a home finally stops demanding invisible strength from the people already carrying too much. And sometimes the smallest practical changes, a safer path, a clearer view, a place to rest, quietly teach a family how to care for each other better.